Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now, your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. Today, we are hanging out with Homeopath Sarah Scott. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
It's such a pleasure. You've really gotten dumped into this interview because we just met yesterday for the first time ever. And as we were chatting, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have you on the podcast because you have some very cool stories to share. And I have a feeling we're going to be working together in the near future. So I had to get you on because also because of your very cool accent. I can listen to the Irish accent all day. So tell us about your journey. How did you discover homeopathy?
My journey started actually before I realised it started with homeopathy. So when I was 17, I was back in Ireland. I was filling out my college application forms, and I always knew I wanted to go into a helping profession, and I was really interested in health. Biology was always my favourite subject in school. I was kind of obsessed with how the human body could work and just sort of the magic of it all. And I was filling out my forms and I thought, okay, I'm going to either be a midwife or I'm going to be a nurse. So midwife was my number one choice. I just loved pregnancy and birth stories and all of that. So I thought, I'm definitely going to be interested in that. I think I'd love to study it. And my dad, who he was a travelling lecturer with a practical philosophy school, and he used to go all around the world, and he was away for about 6 weeks in South Africa. And while he was there, he met a homeopath who came to one of his lectures. And he was talking to him afterwards. And this man over in Durban in South Africa, he sort of told him that he was a homeopath and what he did. And he explained a bit about homeopathy. And my dad spent a week with this man and just thought, oh my goodness, this is absolutely what my daughter Sarah needs to do. So in my dad's true fashion, he came back with knowing all the answers and I hadn't a clue. And he came back and he said, I really think that this is something you need to look into. I think you'll love it. I think it'll really harmonise with your life and the way you are. So I looked into it. I thought, why not? It sounds interesting. And I said I'd give it a go for a year. And if I really didn't like it, I'd come back home and I'd continue with midwifery. So I put my midwifery on hold for a year, went over to London and started the course. And it was the first lecture. I think I was about an hour into the first lecture. And I just thought, no way am I coming home after a year. This is it. I have found it. I didn't have to do any of the pre-work. I didn't have to find it myself. It was found for me. It's just amazing. And when I was talking to my family about it, I realised actually over the years since I was a child, my mum had always been supporting us with homeopathy in the background, but we just didn't know what it was. We would just be given these magic little bottles of pills to take. So we'd get like belladonna or aconite or nux vomica. All our friends knew that we were always the ones in school that had the magic pills that would make your tummy feel better or your cold disappear. But we didn't know it was homeopathy. We didn't know what it was. We just knew that it was there and it always helped. So I've actually always had homeopathy in my life, but I didn't realise it until I was in university.
What a cool story. And just before we started, you revealed that your sister is now a midwife. So that dream is still staying in the family.
Yes, absolutely. And she's a very natural midwife and she uses homeopathy and brings it into her practice as well. So it's great.
Oh, beautiful. And you are a very rare specimen in that most homeopaths usually start much later in their life, 30s, 40s. I just came off the back of an interview with Susanna Shelton, who's the director of the College of Natural Health and Homeopathy in New Zealand, and she says her oldest entrance was 83 years old. So you were only 17, right?
Yeah, I enrolled.
Young.
Yeah, I enrolled when I was 17. I started just after my 18th birthday. There was two of us that were 18 in the course. So we did a Bachelor of Science in London with homeopathy as the focus. And there was only two of us that were 18. And out of all of us that started the course, there was about half of the class that managed to make it to the end. And I was the only one sub 30 that got to the end. Yeah.
Wow. And you have a true commitment to advanced professional development. So you didn't just finish there. You went on to do lots of other training as well. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I became obsessed with homeopathy after that first lecture. And
tends to happen.
Yeah, it's an expensive habit. But yeah, I just absolutely fell in love with it. So as soon as I think before I finished, I was looking for my next course. And there was a few people from my course that went on to study with Jeremy Sher in England. And I went on to do his 2-year postgraduate course, which was just phenomenal. I've never done anything like that. It's absolutely amazing. You get such a rich experience from all of his talents. Like he brings in a lot of other modalities. He has a wide range of interests, and he brings in all that experience into the postgraduate course. It's a really phenomenal learning experience. So it's really amazing. And after that, I went on to over to Bologna in Italy and studied with Massimo Mangilavori. Yes,
can you see me going green with envy?
Yeah, that was incredible. And even the setting, like, I think back now going, how was I so lucky in my early 20s to be doing this? It was held in a monastery up in the hills in Bologna. The monks that worked there used to make us our breakfast and lunches, and just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Really amazing. And then after that, I went back to Ireland, moved home, and I did a postgraduate course with the Irish School of Homeopathy there.
Okay, is there a place in the world you haven't studied with?
Well, if there is, I might go and find it.
You know, when you say that it's an expensive hobby, I was going to say nothing is actually as expensive as being sick. And at least with homeopathy, I always feel like any dollar you spend on investing, on learning about homeopathy is a dollar less that you spend on trying to cure yourself when you get sick, because using that preventative health and getting onto things really quickly with homeopathy, you know, when the symptom rears its head, we can use the remedy straight away. That's a signal for us that our vital force is out of balance. So instead of suppressing that signal, we know to give a remedy to help our vital force to heal itself, so that the body doesn't have the need to express that symptom anymore because it's back into balance. So I just wanted to say it's money well spent.
Oh, completely. And I was thinking the other day about how often do I go to other health practitioners? Like, do I go to a doctor? I was trying to think the last time I had been to a doctor, and I think it was just to have a form filled out. I think I've been to, I haven't been to a doctor. So I've been in Australia for 8 years. I haven't been to a doctor about a health reason at all since I've been to this country.
Amazing.
And my children have once for getting their heads stitched.
Amazing. And I was the same. I went a little while ago for a blood test, but before that, I hadn't been to a doctor in 12 years. And I had to also really just sit and think about it. I was like, wow, it's been 12 years. But, you know, I actually think that we're being incredibly responsible because we are not putting any pressure on the medical system. You know, Medicare is not spending a cent on any of us. We're actually saving the government money. So I think we should actually get like a subsidy. Hey,
yeah, we'll get a rebate.
Yeah, a rebate for being so healthy.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And I love to know that it's there. Like, if we ever need it, I love to know that it's there. And it's a beautiful system here. But
of course,
I'm so grateful that I don't actually need to use it.
I always say that, you know, my son bashed open his eyebrow. I'll use that example so often. So people that are regular listeners to this podcast are going, oh, she's talking about that again. But because my kids are never sick, I have to use the example of the injury. But he had to go to hospital. He had to get stitches. No amount of homeopathy was going to fix that. So, yeah, absolutely. But then saving that for like the real emergencies is, great. And just taking that pressure off the medical system.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you see the doctors and the nurses, I have some of them as clients, and they're so stressed because they're so busy. So if we can do anything to help relieve some of that pressure, then why wouldn't we?
Yeah, especially now while we're... So in Melbourne, we're in a pretty heavy lockdown, and it's not easy to get into doctors at the moment. It's not... a lot of GPs aren't taking on new clients, and it's actually not that easy to source the help if you need it. So it's really great to know that there are other options, that, you know, we have a kit full of things that can help people with whatever it is that they need help with, but there's support there available. So it's really great.
Now, I happen to know in the very short 24 hours that we've known each other that you have a passion for baby's birth and beyond. So can you tell us why, and what is it about it that you like, and maybe some cases that you'd like to share?
I like that name as well, Baby's Birth and Beyond.
Yeah,
I feel that.
You're welcome to.
Well, so I'm a mom of two kids, two gorgeous kids, and I think my interest in babies and birth started with my older sister back in Ireland. She has three gorgeous children, and I was very present in her life when she was having the children, when she was pregnant. So I got to sort of, through her, got to experience a little bit of what was happening for her. And it was while I was studying homeopathy, so I really got to help support her towards the end when things were getting a bit rough and, you know, she wasn't feeling so great. And it just, seeing what it could do just gave me this it was just like the spark of joy that you could see that you could relieve this, you know, it could be pelvic pressure or nausea or whatever it is, there's discomfort sometimes when you're pregnant and, you know, you're supplying a life source for another being, and that can take its toll sometimes. And just to witness what homeopathy can do, how it can support someone through that, I just sort of became obsessed with this. I just loved it. I thought it was so amazing. It was so quick because the vital force can be so strong during pregnancy and labour and all that. And when I then became pregnant, it just kept growing. I wanted to, I saw what it could do. I saw how you could really have a different kind of birth to the stories I had grown up hearing and seeing in movies and what it could be like, and this sort of very trauma-based story. And I really wanted something different for women. I wanted women to feel empowered, that they could have a birth that they were really happy with, that like all sorts of things can happen during birth, and all sorts of things don't have to happen as well. And I think I just wanted to be able to help things not go wrong if possible. You know, I wanted to support women to be as in power in their birth as they could be, and just really own it. Because I think, I don't know, it may be growing up in Ireland, I'm not sure if it's been the same over here, but there's a push for women not being as involved in their pregnancy and their birth, and it's almost considered a condition rather than it's a normal part of life, and it doesn't have to be an ailment. So I just really wanted to be on the positive side of that. So I really enjoy supporting healthy pregnancies as well as ones that need extra support, but just allowing women to really flourish in pregnancy and it not be a traumatic experience.
Absolutely. And, you know, Sarah, so often people say, oh, I didn't know that I could use homeopathy for this or that. And I was wondering, can you maybe give us some specific examples of how we might use homeopathy even pre-conception, during pregnancy, birth, and beyond?
Yeah, homeopathy can be used in any stage. Before conception, preconception stage, it's so great to just be clearing away any layers that have built up from whatever's happened in life. We all have conditioning in life, whether that's environmental conditioning, emotional conditioning, from how we were brought up, the environments we live in. There's so many factors that get sort of built up in our systems. And homeopathy is just so great at supporting the clearing of that. So detoxing before conception is a phenomenal way to start a pregnancy journey, because you're starting it with such a clear space, and you're not going to be passing on those built up toxic either emotions or actual toxins or whatever it is. You're not going to be passing them on through the pregnancy to the next generation, who will then need to clear them. So if you're able to do the work beforehand, that's absolutely the best start you can do. If you don't do it before pregnancy, you can clear things during pregnancy if things come up. I had a patient, an acute client recently, who came, she really wanted a home birth, and she had placenta previa, and the placenta was very low lying across the cervix, and she was told, there's no way you're going to have a home birth. That can't be supported here because it's not safe, which is a fair assessment. She was late in the pregnancy and was told it's now at a stage where the placenta is not going to move, so you need to be prepared to have this birth in hospital, and it may end up as a cesarean. She came to me for some homeopathic support. Based on the symptoms she presented with, she got sepia, and I think it was 10 days later she had another scan. The placenta had moved. She had the home birth that she wanted. I was bowled over by how fast that responded, but it just shows that if you get the right remedy and the right potency at the right time for the right person, homeopathy can work miracles. Like, it's phenomenal what it can do. And then after birth, like during labour, it's incredible because the vital force is so strong. You can see remedies working and supporting really fast, like lightning fast. And then afterwards with babies, you know, learning how to latch properly and breastfeeding issues and all of that support and the care for mom after, you know, quite an exhausting experience. I always think it's a bit like a hug after labour, you know, like it really just supports the mother and the baby. Yeah, I think it's incredible.
I love how you said about the detoxing beforehand. I think that's crucial. And I know you're getting into the bowel nosodes, and I really love using the bowel nosodes before a woman is pregnant, or especially during pregnancy. Now, the bowel nosodes are homeopathic remedies that are made from different gut bacteria. I call them homeopathic probiotics. They're not, but that's just so that people can understand sort of what they are. And especially with clients who have a huge history of candida and things like that, if we can clear some of that before they give birth, because as the baby is coming through the birth canal, it's picking up the mum's gut flora. So if we're able to clear some of that and take some of the load off and just have really good gut flora for the mum, vaginal flora, then when the baby's being born, it's just got a better set level that it's starting life at, hey?
Yeah, and also if the baby is born via cesarean section and doesn't get to travel through the birth canal and doesn't get all that beautiful flora that helps it develop its own gut flora, then the bowel nosodes can really support with that, whether it's through breastfeeding or with the baby itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And something else that I think that people often might think, oh, homeopathy can't help, because I told you that's one of my it's a pet peeve. It's not really, because I never knew that homeopathy can help with everything, and literally it can help with everything. So whenever somebody says, oh, I didn't know you could use homeopathy for that, I'm like, of course you can. So group B strep, that's something that a lot of mums stress about, especially if they're planning a home birth and then they get the test and it comes back saying you're positive for strep, and it can be devastating for a mum who had her heart set on her home birth. And I have had a handful of cases now where we have turned a positive strep B testing into negative. The quickest beautiful. Was just maybe a month ago, and the mum said, look, I've got strep B, I have to get this turned around in a week. I said to her, I don't know if we can do it in a week. I really need more time, but here's the remedy. It's not going to hurt. She had the test 5 days later. It came back negative. So even using homeopathy for that, and she was able to have her home birth. How cool is that?
And that's it. It's about doing everything possible to give women the births that they want. And whatever that looks like for the women. Not everyone wants a home birth, not everyone wants a water birth, you know, not everyone goes for the ultra natural style birth. You know, some people want to have a birth in hospital. Some people choose cesareans, and that's I just think supporting the woman's choice, but giving her the best shot of having what she envisages as the best birth for her, I think is a really crucial role as practitioners, and homeopathy can just give that extra support to sort of clear away any of the other messes that can get involved in it.
I couldn't agree with you more, because if you have a empowered mother coming out of that birth, holding her baby and feeling strong in herself because she got the birth that she wanted, then everything flows on so much easier from that. You have an empowered mother instead of an anxious mother. So the breast milk is going to come in easier. The baby's not going to pick up on her stress. Everything just flows and just makes it so much easier. Unfortunately, with the birth scene in Australia, I'm sure most of the rest of the world as well, that's not what we see many of the time. And a lot of our clinic time is spent treating postnatal depression. Hilary Dorian says that actually a lot of postnatal depression is actually misdiagnosed as actually post-traumatic stress, and I couldn't agree with you more. So these women are coming out of their birth, it wasn't what they had hoped it would be, and they're traumatized by the experience. They get slapped with the label of postnatal depression, but actually it's post-traumatic shock because of what they have just gone through, because they weren't empowered and they weren't supported and their birth wishes weren't listened to. So and homeopathy can help with that as well.
I think that's a huge area. I think my first birth wasn't quite as I had wanted it to be. My second birth was much closer, and if I was ever lucky enough to have any future children, I'd do it differently again. But I still have moments of thinking about what happened during the birth, and it wasn't anything too traumatic or anything, but it wasn't quite what I had agreed to, and there was a few things that I didn't agree to that happened, and I think that's often ignored because a lot of people they slap the sentence on, but at least you have a healthy baby at the end of it, and as if that makes everything disappear. It certainly makes a lot of things disappear, and it is what you want at the end of it, of course. And you know, if you were to list your priorities and your value set in that moment, the healthy baby at the end of it is going to be the top priority. But if you have had some level of trauma during the labour or the birth process, that's going to stay with you until it's healed. So there are different ways of healing it, but homeopathy can really support and it can get right into the root of that. And if trauma is not healed, it will show itself in one way or another at some point in your life. So I would recommend homeopathy after even a great birth. I would say, there's always a level of care that can come in after that, because there's going to be, you're now, after you've given birth, even if everything's gone beautifully, you're now hopefully supplying a milk supply for the child. You're nourishing this baby. If you're bottle feeding, you're still nourishing this baby with your body. You are still their life support. The fourth trimester is a huge part of the whole pregnancy journey. And I think that fourth trimester can sometimes get neglected. The time when the baby is out of the womb and now with the mother. It's such a delicate balance and such a delicate time for the two of them. Like, there's so many indigenous cultures that it's the mother and baby and maybe the grandmother, that go off by themselves, and they really just connect and bond. And we don't do that a lot in modern society. And I think we can miss out on an awful lot. But if we can include some other supportive measures, if that's not practical necessarily in modern society, if we can include some other practical supportive measures in the background, even like the tissue salts would be fabulous to really support mum's body to develop this extra nourishment for the baby, and just to support the emotions and the balance of hormones that are happening. Like, there's just so much going on, and there can sometimes be a full stop after birth saying, well, now you've done it. But I don't think that's true. I think that's one stage, and now the next stage is really beginning, and the next stage can be really challenging for women.
Absolutely. I just thought up a new game as you were talking. Can we play a little bit of homeopathy tennis? Just going back and forth of some other things that homeopathy can help with around the birth experience. And as you were talking, I just thought something that's not mentioned enough is actually miscarriage. So if there is a miscarriage, homeopathy can even help you to deliver the baby naturally. So I have helped a few clients with that, and they have even used herbs and things to try to induce the fetus naturally, and nothing worked until we used the homeopathy, and then it was minutes, and then the contractions started and they were able to deliver. But then homeopathy, as always, carries us even along, because then it will help you with the grief and the loss of having had that baby. And it's never going to suppress that feeling of grief and loss, because we need to feel that, we need to move through that, but it's just going to make you know that everything is going to be okay. So there's that part of it. So I'm going to hit the ball over to your court. Have you got anything else that you think that homeopathy can help with pregnancy, birth and beyond?
Miscarriage is a huge one, and it isn't talked about a lot because it's a little bit taboo for a lot of people. I think infertility is another taboo area, and it's not necessarily counted in with pregnancy because there are so many. It can be such a heightened emotional state. to be going through that process. And I think infertility is, it seems to be on the rise. And I think that's pretty devastating for people. And there's all sorts of contributing factors, which I won't go into, but there are some really amazing things that homeopathy has been able to achieve. I've recently started looking at the Liz Layler fertility method.
I'm interviewing her next week.
Oh, fantastic.
And I've used her system for a few years now with huge success.
Oh, brilliant.
She's got an 87% success rate with her protocol.
I think that is the most incredible thing.
And what's more incredible is the people who come and see her are usually the ones that have tried everything else. So she is a last resort for them.
I know. And those results are just phenomenal. Like, you wouldn't get that with IVF. Like, that's just, it's absolutely incredible. So I think, the area I would say that homeopathy can really support in that people don't really, I don't think people think of it for infertility, because infertility, there's quite a big business around IVF and infertility support in allopathic medicine. And I think people generally would come to homeopathy as a last resort, but it's amazing that that's the success rate as a last resort. I think amazing, that just brings so much hope to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So something else I was thinking of is in the third trimester, and I learned this in a book, I think it was Dr. Ali Phillips's book, Kiss Your Dentist Goodbye, because your saliva changes in your mouth in your third trimester, becomes more acidic, so it pulls the calcium from your teeth, and that's why often women will have lots of cavities in their teeth. And I love the tissue salt calc fluor for that. But as you were talking about the tissue salts before, I have to say I usually just prescribe a combination of all 12 tissue salts for women all throughout pregnancy, because it helps with the fetus's development of their teeth and their bone structure and everything else. But people might not think of homeopathy for their dental health to protect their teeth during pregnancy.
Yeah, and a lot of women are nervous about going to the dentist when they're pregnant, because I'm not sure if it's true or not that you shouldn't go to the dentist. I've heard from dentists that you definitely should be going because of this tendency for weaker teeth during pregnancy. My older sister, when she was pregnant, she lost a tooth for every child she had, I think. Yeah, it's a saying in Ireland that the women lose a tooth for every child they have, and my sister proved that to be true.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she's got beautiful teeth though.
Yeah.
They're all at the back, luckily.
Okay. Just trying to think of some other things that we can use for, obviously, milk supply. You know, if there was maybe a traumatic birth and you're having trouble getting the milk coming in, then homeopathy can certainly help you establish that supply. I'll hit the tennis ball over to you.
Yeah, and with milk supply as well, mastitis is huge for new mums, especially first-time mums. It can definitely come with after your first child, but mastitis is a big thing, and a lot of that can be about being run down. So the tissue salts are also really great as a background support. There are direct remedies that you can use as well. Belladonna, phytolacca, they're two of the top ones. But I think just when the mum is feeling depleted and she's sort of giving everything, that extra support with the tissue salts is brilliant. But there's also for the baby, once baby is earthside, then there's so many supports for teething and helping with sleep, settling them. Colic is a huge thing for the first 12 weeks. That can really upset the family routine and cause a lot of distress if the baby's crying in pain. And you know they can't tell you what's wrong, but they've got some sort of tummy issue. There's so many great remedies that can support with that.
And I was just thinking, if the baby's born and it was quite a traumatic birth, and I've had clients say my baby came out and it just looked shocked, and it's just had this shocked look on his face, and we have homeopathic remedies to help remove that fright and that shock from that baby's vital force. So if it was a traumatic birth, remember that there's remedies to not just help the mum but the baby as well. I mean, aconite is such a great remedy for fright and shock. So maybe the baby wasn't breathing initially, it had to be put on oxygen, or there was some interventions. Oh my gosh, and don't even talk about forceps. You know, some mums say about the baby's coming out and baby's head is bruised and swollen. Homeopathic arnica is so amazing for that.
And also the detox after birth. So if there has been pain medicine used during birth, if there's been antibiotics given because the strep came back positive, whatever it is, those things can be detoxed as well. So that ideally you're detoxing beforehand, so you're going in as clear as possible, but also you may need to detox again afterwards. There could be a whole load of other things that can then start looking like thrush. You know, the babies can get oral thrush, and you know, it can have a cascade of effects if you're not clearing these things. But it's so simple to clear them.
I love where this interview is going, because it's just exactly, you know, just what I think that our clients are going to need to hear. And I'm sure it will come across that both of us are passionate about baby's birth and beyond. I really need to trademark that. But there's just homeopathy can really help a mum through all aspects of this, for sure. I was just thinking during pregnancy, if there has been any medications or vaccinations or something has happened and a mum's had to have medications, using homeopathics alongside. Somebody just shared a PubMed article in our group just this week saying that the use of acetaminophen, or, you know, Panadol over here, is linked to increased chances of autism. So if you have had to use painkillers during pregnancy, you know, see your homeopath, because we have remedies that can help that having a snowball effect from there. So if you're getting some prophylactic homeopathic treatment or like a homeopathic detox, then it's just going to help stop problems further down the track.
Yeah, and I think as we're talking here, like you. Often as a homeopath, you would think, okay, these are the obvious things that homeopathy can help with. And like you were saying, not everyone knows all the things that homeopathy can help with. But I think we're in such a fortunate position, because we don't diagnose, because we don't treat illnesses, we treat people with the expression of the symptoms they have. I think we're in such a beautiful position that no matter what kind of birth you've had, no matter what kind of fertility journey you've had, pregnancy journey, or whatever it is, this is just specifically looking at pregnancy, but no matter what journey you've had to get you to this point, there is something homeopathy can offer to support you, whether it's clearing, whether it's building back, whether it's dealing with trauma from your birth potentially. Like often with fertility things, there can be a birth trauma from the mother or the father at that point, and that might need to be cleared beforehand. But it kind of just offers this wide open book in front of people to say, there's something for you here. No matter what it is, whatever experience you've had, whether it's the experience you wanted or not, there is something that homeopathy can offer. And it's just, that's up to the homeopath and the client to figure out.
I just have to add a couple more things in there that people might not have thought of. And that is, you know, if you're not able to breastfeed your baby, maybe it was a baby that was adopted, so you might not have established the milk flow. So the homeopathic remedy made from human breast milk is actually really great. And Patricia Hatherley on a previous podcast was talking about how they can help to mature the gut and help with the immunity and also the skin and all that sort of stuff. So homeopathy can help with that. You can even, if you are breastfeeding, make a homeopathic remedy from your breast milk, which you can use for your baby, for when you're weaning. We even have the remedy made from oxytocin, which is if there is issues with bonding between the mum and the baby, we've got remedies to help with that. Yeah. Have you maybe got some cases from your clinic that you'd like to share, Sarah? Because I can see how this tennis can go on and on and on. I was just thinking I should probably stop at some stage. But have you maybe got some cases from your clinic that you'd like to share with us?
Well, so the other area that I really enjoy working in is skin issues. As a child, I had psoriasis. It's in my family history. There's dry skin on both sides of the family. And I remember being, I think I was 13, and I was scratching away at my face, and I looked down and there was a lot of skin on the thing, and on the table in front of me, and I thought, oh my goodness, how can this be my life? How can I have all of this all over my face? And it would come and go as a child, and it didn't present as a major thing in my life. But when I was 19 and I had started studying homeopathy, I went to a homeopath and got it sorted. All fine. It was amazing. It was just incredible experience, and it really drove me to want to help other people with skin issues, eczema. I love working with kids with eczema. And that the bowel nosodes coming into that, I just supporting the gut through supporting the gut to help with the skin, I just think is it's amazing to watch the response that the skin has to that. I was treating a boy recently who was on, he's 3 years old, and since birth he's had 8 rounds of antibiotics for his skin. He's covered head to toe in eczema. He was told that it's getting too serious and he may need to have a little bit of a hospital stay to look after him. And so last ditch attempt, they came to try homeopathy, and put him on some supportive bowel nosodes and started looking after him. And we get photo updates, and the clarity in his skin, like, it's not gone, it's improving. It's improving hugely. Like, it's looking at the photos side by side, it's just incredible to see how they can respond. And going from heavy steroid and antibiotic use to just using some supportive homeopathic remedies and a really basic natural cream, like I think they're using calendula. It's just so beautiful to see the skin clearing up like that. So I love working with children with that. They can respond so quickly. So it's really it's really heartwarming to see that response, and you think, it's really helping.
You can see me smiling and nodding my head, because I have a case just like that of a little boy after his 2-month vaccines, got covered in eczema from his head to his toes. And he came to see me when he was about 4 years old, and it's been hell for this family. They never even got to sleep because this child would scratch himself to bleeding every single night for 4 years. Wow. And we've had such an amazing result with him so quickly. I mean, pictures don't lie. You have that picture there of this child with a shocking eczema, and picture a couple of months later and the skin's looking so much better. So homeopathy is amazing for skin conditions.
Beautiful.
Impressive with the psoriasis that you had such a good result with that as well, because that can, some people have that for their whole life, like decades, and then homeopathy can help. You don't need to suffer through it.
And so I do get flare-ups every now and then, and I know what my triggers are, but I also know my remedy that helps support it. So if I take that right at the beginning of a little flare-up, it'll clear it. If I don't, sometimes I'm a lazy homeopath, I'm a lazy patient.
We all are.
And I don't necessarily even think to take it, even though it's sitting right there for me. If I don't, it takes a little bit longer to clear, but it's still the remedy. Once I take it, it'll clear it up.
Beautiful. Have you got any other cases from your clinic that you wanted to share with us, or anything else that you wanted to make sure that the listeners get before we close off?
I think I just wanted to share really how accessible homeopathy is. I think there's been a lot of upheaval with the pandemic and how it has affected the way we work and the world and how we interact. One of the most amazing things that it's actually done is really connect people from all across the world. Online, I'd rather do it in person, but if we can connect with more people, I'll take that option. And it's really changed my practice, the way I'm able to see people anywhere. So I'm no longer limited to location. I had never thought of practicing homeopathy over Zoom before, and I exclusively do that now. Because of the severe lockdown we're in Victoria. And it's just been incredible. So when I first moved over here 8 years ago, I wasn't sure where the homeopathic community was. I didn't find it that easy to find homeopaths. And now there's so many. It's really, really accessible. We can see people anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We can find a time that works. It's really great working within the Australian time zone, because you can, really have a good work-life balance. But it's just the accessibility of homeopathy it's really there. It may not always be very well seen, but homeopathy is there and it's strong. So, it's not hard to find a homeopath. We're out here willing to help.
Excellent. Now, for a little bit of fun at the end, what are your top 3 homeopathic remedies for you personally that you can't live without, and why?
Arnica is my absolute number one. my family always joke that whenever they come to me with their ailments that I'll always prescribe arnica, which is not true, but that's their little joke. So arnica is absolutely number one. I love that remedy, and I think it's probably the most used in my house with little kids. Pulsatilla is huge in our house as well. I really love pulsatilla. Sometimes my siblings can think it's an insult if I tell them that they need pulsatilla because they think it means they're being a bit whiny. But we always seem to need pulsatilla at some point. It knocks colds on the head a lot for us. We seem to be a very pulsatilla family. And then I think my third one would probably be sepia. I think since becoming a mum, that's really supported me an awful lot. I hadn't realised how useful it was for that sort of worn out state. And I think it allows me to be a better mum because that sort of crankiness and low energy can really be lifted with some sepia. So that's really supported me, and I've seen it supporting a lot of mums. So I find sepia brilliant.
And I think especially with the lockdowns and families being in each other's faces the whole time, and a lot of parents are responsible for their children's education at the moment as well. So when you just like have had enough of your children who you love with all your heart, but you're like, just cannot handle any more of any of them, you take a dose of sepia and suddenly that just falls away and you just become, the mother that you want to be. So I've definitely had some sepia moments as well. So it's been a really great hormonal balancing remedy for me.
And I'm finding there's a lot of Nux at the moment as well, Nux vomica going around, and Kali Foss as well. Just a lot of that, just over everything. Everything's just a bit overdone, overworked, overstressed. Nervous systems just a bit fried at the moment for a lot of people. There's been so much worry, and I think a lot of people in the fight or flight mentality, and that's really worn down nervous systems. And that's generally when you get sick, is if your immune system's going to be down from all that extra cortisol floating around your body. So it's I've seen a lot of Kali Foss and arsenicum and all those sort of anxiety remedies being really supportive to keep people just a little bit calmer and at bay.
Absolutely. It's extraordinary times, that's for sure. So, Sarah, how do people get hold of you?
The easiest way probably is to get me on social media. So on Facebook and Instagram, I'm just at Sarah Scott Homeopathy. Or you can email me, sarahscotthomeopathy@gmail.com.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And we're going to be hanging out lots in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me.
See ya. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Hi homies, I'd like to invite you to come and join me at the Homeopathy Hangout Podcast Facebook group, where we can discuss past episodes and you can help me decide on new content for the show. Also be sure to check out my YouTube channel, where you'll find my free Homeopathy at Home 30-minute introduction video, which is perfect for anyone completely new to homeopathy who's ready to take charge of their own health. Just search for Eugenie Kruger Homeopathy on YouTube. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can make a once-off $5 donation by visiting www.buymeacoffee.com/hangout. Or if you'd like to make a monthly donation, you can visit www.patreon.podbean.com/homeopathy hangout. And if you're in Australia and you'd like to purchase one of our beautiful homeopathic kits, single remedies, or one of our amazing combination remedies, visit www.eugeniekruger.com, where you can also sign up to our newsletter so you don't miss out on any special offers. And if you're interested in advertising on our show, please email info@eugeniekruger.com. Thanks so much for listening.